last week on HotA, we started the first day, session 1, campaign 1 of the actual session 1 of the campaign 1, like we're actually playing now. So, okay. We, the adventurers awoke to the Red Dragon Inn, and after having a hearty breakfast, found a new ally, a new compatriot, a new friend. We searched out Ivan, the leader of Candoria proper, and the one who has been told us he is a gathering adventurers for the upcoming HotA horseman coming. So he just in battle preparements has been gathering warriors and heroes to aid in the defending of the realm. And when we went to go talk to him, he said that there was this really cool simulation of sorts to test our skills and battle wits against some other competing teams to see kind of get an assessment, if you will, of all the people that would be contributing to the battle fray. So after we talked to him for a little bit about, yeah, sure, we're going to join. We're going to, we're not doing anything else. Why not? Why not try to kill bad guys, sir? Ivan, in his endless wisdom and quick hijinks of his own, decided to put our bard into a rather quick predicament to have a mini performance. His family, as well as the people who worked in the manor, to which Finley and his allies, his friends, gathered in the kitchen, I believe, with everyone gathered around and sang a bit of a song. And it was kind of a toe stepper there, kind of a catchy ditty. After some display and performance, we later went to the simulator and decided, why not set the tone? Our group first out of like 5 or 6 other groups.
5 other groups, yep.
Okay, cool. So we sat down in these chairs, smoke filled the room, kind of took me back to my college days, and then we turned into another realm. Again, college days. Anyway, so as we awoke and the picture started to become more clear, we could feel the hot swelter of the hot cobblestones beneath our feet, and as our vision became more clear, the red hues and orange hues of freaking lava. Finley's own personal worst enemy, let alone kind of the groups at this point. And we were also in a cave, so double whammy of just balls at that point. As we made our way across this decrepit bridge of sorts, we stumbled upon this lava island, and to our eyes did appear was a mighty ancient red dragon that was going to be our team's test of battlement. And as the green light go, as you were, some our wizard turned.
Kyle, speed it up.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting there. Hold on, almost done.
The highlight.
This is our first battle. Okay, I'm setting the tone. Okay, so our wizard turned himself into Superman. Kurtz did his thing and kind of got eaten, but was also killing at the same time. So it's really impressive.
Okay.
Finley turned himself into a dragon himself because holy shit, why not? And then Erdra with the final killing blow, new title, Dragon Slayer, and we came out to thunderous applause as people watched us on this big screen. And that's kind of where we ended. So we're gonna pop back out and see what the rest of the day holds for Team Shenanigans.
Team Shenanigans.
We need a better group name than that.
You guys do need a group name still.
I think probably Dylan should do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a heavy Kurtz episode there. So perhaps jump right in there.
I wasn't really paying attention, but so when we opened up last time, we had just gotten out of the simulation to the roaring crowd, and Finley got his new title, White Fang, because he became a giant dragon.
Okay.
He was gifted a special present from the Revenant, which was a sort of constructed white dragon thing that's probably magical, but we never found out.
Okay.
Did we never identify that thing? Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also got one of Finley's magical blue balls.
Okay.
Kurtz doesn't have any idea what they are, but maybe they're worth money, so maybe it'll buy him an elephant.
Okay.
We then went on the search of a man named the Scholar, intimidated a Revenant. Didn't intimidate him. He was being a little wuss. He got turned down service from Kurtz and Finley. All
Are
things
you talking
considered.
about the teenager?
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy.
Okay.
Tried asking him about the scholar, didn't work out. We eventually found a revenant who did know a little bit about him.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he's out of town, and we have no idea where he is. So we kind of just meandered for a bit. We found a tabaxi litter that had been abandoned, and
Not
You know.
kitten litter.
Okay.
finders
Claimed.
keepers. So Finley, of course, claimed it.
Okay.
The servants of the tabaxi who owned it, Flo, who was actually a warrior princess who was here for the call to adventure, was the only one around. We tried to give her a good moral lesson about it's possible that her things could be stolen, and she was very rude. So a plan was hatched, and right about now in game, a bunch of street orphans should be slicing that thing up to sell for parts.
Okay.
Kurtz and Urgra then went to the temple of the sisters, or the divine, or whatever you want to call it. And Kurtz, using his background connections and backstory, had a meeting with Alundra, the current high priestess. Tavara. God damn it! I'm never gonna.
Lunder's the one that's gone. Tavara's
I'm never
the new
gonna.
one. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tavara. Letting a little information out in return for her promise to essentially help them in the coming battle any way they could. Meanwhile, Finley and Rin were off to the games, and that's where we ended our session.
Perfect. All right, guys. Cap, and we'll jump into tonight's game.
Sure. So last time on Horsemen of the Apocalypse, we had arrived at the festival having just completed our trial against an ancient red dragon. We had, or at least Kurtz had successfully advised his childhood army to capture and vandalize a taxi woman named Flo. And we decided to take part in some more legitimate festivities. First, we went to a test of cunning hosted at the Nuzzled Fox bookstore. This was a number of riddles. Some we passed, some we technically passed. And we got a voucher for a free book of our choice, which we are planning to use in the future. I'm pretty sure that Rin has that particular prize.
Yeah, I think we all got one, right?
Yeah, we got
one of
blank
them has
books.
Okay.
Yep.
After that, we had the arm wrestling competition, which our halfling bard and our human fighter went into. Urgra tried to place a bet, but failed spectacularly. And but it's okay, because she was going to bet on Kurtz, and Kurtz got eliminated in the first round.
True.
Oh,
I'm an old man. Give me a break.
I'd like to.
Shit happens. Yeah.
It's his money.
However, our halfling bard, Finley Shenanigans, took home the prize and made a little bit of a connection with the runner-up, Mr. Vale Von Dam, a giant of a human, who maybe we'll see.
Von Dam.
Yes, he was quite a domineering sort of fellow, but yes.
Or Van Dam. Just he's a little German Von Dam.
I put huge oxen dude in my notes. Let's just,
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Next, we headed over to the archery competition. Apparently, surprising. I mean, I was going to do it. I knew that, but then surprisingly, Ren threw in his hat for that particular competition. So I'm interested to see what tricks he's got up his sleeves. But otherwise, we got 3 other competitors signed up at least earlier in the day. One of them was a dwarf named Gus, who, interestingly enough, was shooting with an elven bow, which caught Urgra's eye. And we talked a little bit, and he agreed that if Urgra should win the entire tournament, then he would tell her where he got his mysterious elven bow. After that, we went to a card reader, an old dwarf named Boris, and each of us got a question answered by the cards. Some mysterious, some a little, terrifying, at least in Rin's case. But the day goes on, and I believe we're headed back to the archery contest, and we're going to see what the rest of this festival has for us.
Okay.
I have notes. So, 2 weeks ago, episode 4, we started off with Kurtz going to the Trial of Strength. We are currently in Candoria proper. We are having the Great Lunar Festival, which is a huge 7-day event. Our party had already proven its might against a sort of virtual reality battle against an ancient red dragon, which we won. And so we actually have some pretty good reputation now. And we were pretty much just cruising the festival. Kurtz went to a Trial of Strength and beat it handedly and got a magical item for his trouble.
Okay.
Meanwhile, myself and Rin participated in the archery competition. One of us based on skill, the other based on
cheating.
Skill, not with a bow. However, skill won. And there was no prize except for bragging rights, but it's enough.
You did get a little bit of gold though.
Well, from the betting pool.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Because Kurtz and Finley, finagled the crowd.
But after that, we actually got to discuss one of the prizes we got for completing the defeat of the Red Dragon, which was some sort of artifact, a blue ball that got Finley very, very excited. We discussed it, and Finley told us what he knew, which was not much. Apparently, when there are multiple balls that are blue, and when they are collected, something happens. He doesn't know what. He knows it's powerfully magical, and we have determined through our own checks and skills that these things have divine power, like pure divine power, which is a big deal because in this world, the goddesses have left, who are the main deities, and so we're kind of left to fend for ourselves. So these remnants of divine power are a pretty big deal. But that aside, we decided to get drunk, because we may only have 7 days left to live before the next sportsman arrives and destroys the world.
Oh,
that was a lot of fun.
So Kurtz decided to he had some own business to take care of, which he thought couldn't wait, and so he left the party for just a bit. But Finley and myself, Urgra, participated in the drinking competition. I got a little further than Finley, and he's currently blackout drunk. I cut myself off before getting to that point, but I'm still pretty bad off. Rin is totally sober and is basically our caretaker. And that's pretty much where we are.
You guys met?
All right, Z. All right, so last time we had just completed basically a drinking game, or not drinking game, gin competition at the local tavern. Finley was passed out like a light. Urger was not very much better, but she was at least conscious. So those two were escorted back to the mansion, where Rin serenaded us with music and also ice sculptures. In the meantime, Kurtz Glaskin sought information on where to beat someone up. And as always, his band of little pickpockets came through and told him that there was a fight club sort of thing happening outside of the walls, apparently held by a bunch of tabaxis, specifically tigers. So when he arrived, he saw that it seemed that human after human were basically being beat down by these tabaxi, and that they had a very high opinion of their own combat prowess. And so Kurt stepped in, had to remove all of his armor, had to remove all of his weapons, but not his magical belt of giant strength. And went toe-to-toe with his tabaxi, didn't even last a round. Then he went on to face the tabaxi leader named Savage, a one-armed giant tiger tabaxi. And Savage didn't do too well either. Maybe he lasted 2 rounds. And Kurtz got his own new nickname, the Contender. And got some street cred with the Tigers. After that, Kurtz rushed over to catch the pretty kind of opening speech of Ivan. It was kind of a non-event, basically saying, welcome, let's all stay unified. Thanks for coming.
I'll be here till Thursday.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than that, Kurtz asked around for Timmy, his go-to urchin, but found that he had apparently not been seen for a while.
Yep.
A little bit after that, he ran into the captain of the temple guard, a Kaldabar, who was talking about apparently there had been a murder and that they had captured the prime suspect, who was found covered in blood. And wouldn't you know it, it turns out that person is Timmy. So Kurtz gathered the rest of us, or by the rest of us, I mean myself and Rin's doppelganger, or simulacrum, who is known as Near.
Okay.
And we went to a familiar courthouse.
Yes.
And found that it was indeed Timmy. He was trapped and locked up in a cage with an anti-magic room. So there was not a whole lot we could do. We were able to discover that, although completely by accident, Timmy did murder a guard using the hidden blade that was given to him by Kurtz. And, yep.
Okay.
And we thought about trying to figure out some sort of way to get around this, but in the end, Kurtz decided to at least make the request that he could take care of Timmy himself as opposed to having a stranger do it.
Okay.
And that is really where we leave off. Yeah, so last week we are in the capital city of
Candoria.
Candoria proper.
Candoria proper.
Those
We
F
have
words.
gotten quite a good name for ourselves. As some of you may know, the horseman is coming, or so the pattern indicates, and we have about 5 days before basically shit hits the fan. And so what better way to do that before than to throw a massive festival and party?
Right.
So
That's
we
one
have
does.
had some
Yeah.
festivities, we've had drinking games, we've had archery contests, we've had a lot of fun. But last episode, we started to hear some trouble in the way of apparently one of the local merchants, Miss Honey, is running low on honey. Our general reaction to that was nonplussed, and we just kept on walking because another thing we have going on is Kurtz Glaskin, our fighter, he kind of runs this little Fagin gang of childhood pickpockets, and one of them is basically up for getting killed for killing a guard. And we're going to see how that works out. He has volunteered to do it himself and has been given permission. We're going to try and find a way around that, but the main thing for the last episode was actually a stag hunt. There is a legendary giant white stag that the king, the ruler of Candoria proper, named Ivan, wanted to basically mount on his wall. We had convinced him to let us see if maybe this thing actually was sentient and magical. And after a interesting fight where there wasn't a whole lot of fighting involved, but we convinced him that we would actually find a mate for him if he would come back and be kind of the mascot of Candoria.
That's what the song's playing.
Yeah, so we set up a sanctuary for him. Everyone, including Ivan, was very happy just to have him there and just to raise spirits before this catastrophe happened. And we were headed back to Candoria proper when all of a sudden, lo and behold, this woman, who we suspect is Miss Honey due to her beehive hairdo, came up running to grab us right before Rain could basically almost get himself into hot water by verbally assaulting the head of the church, one Tavaria, who is less than forgiving, one might say. And that's where we are.
Okay.
We are in the capital city of Candoria, and we have been approached by an elderly woman, a entrepreneur of the honey business, a Miss Honey. Not quite sure if she has a husband or not. And we found out that apparently her source of honey, a group of caves that was manned by some Furbies, which are some cute little Furby bee-type creatures, had apparently been, their caves had been overtaken by, what were they, terror wasps?
Terra Hornets.
Air hornets, not even
Terra Hornets, yeah.
Terra hornets, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so it's a huge infestation, and we decided to take on the job because, of course, we are amazing adventurers. And we ventured into the cave and just took out one hive after another until we came to the final battle with a giant ass queen bee. She landed a big hit on our fighter, almost killed him in one hit. He's a level 20 fighter with over 200 HP, so that was illuminating.
Hurt a lot.
Luckily, our board was able to throw together a meteor swarm at the last minute and take care of all of us, including knocking our fighter out. But he was okay in the end.
Okay.
It got better.
We rejoined Miss Honey, and we currently own 14% of her gross products. So, money doesn't hurt.
Certainly doesn't.
Okay. Awesome. So you teleported yourselves and the giant bee body back. Andrew rolled for it and appeared right in front of Miss Honey's hive building, and that's where we left off.
Yes. So last episode 8, we had just returned from clearing out a cave of what were Furbies, sort of like these giant, very cuddly, plushy little bee creatures. And their hive had been taken over by terror hornets. So we decided to clear that thing out as a favor to the beekeeper, Miss Honey. And we had just killed the Great Queen with one of us almost dying. We brought back the corpse to Miss Honey's hut and suddenly found that 2 of us were paralyzed and burning, just like terrible nerve pain. We wasn't entirely sure why. At first we thought it was a guess that Miss Honey was having a high-powered wizard named Master Siphon, but when we were rushed to clerics, we discovered that we were actually poisoned from lingering bee stingers. That sucked.
And and sucking poison too.
Yeah, no good deed.
Yeah.
After that, we returned to Miss Honey and got some promised gossip about the High Priestess, Tavara. And we found out not so much on the personal level, because not much apparently is known about Tavara. She is, aside from her being just very professional, whether it be in public or just behind closed doors with a few people, she always keeps up a very professional facade and never really gets emotional. And the other thing we found out is that apparently when she took control of the church, there was a bit of a falling out with some of the other high-powered sisters, and some of them went on the lam and are still holding a sort of underground grass movement against the man or woman movement. So that's something we may be looking into. Last week was also the week where Kurtz finally decapitated one of his little minions.
Rip.
Rip.
We were thinking about doing all these plans to try and it's going to be like, okay, it's fine. We're 20th level characters. We can just bring back from the dead. Turns out that the church has passed a law that prohibits all sort of necromantic spells, period, as well as anything that can bring someone back from the dead. Apparently it is against the rulings of the church, or the high goddesses had told Tavara that it's just bad juju. Mm-hmm. So anyone caught using that magic is executed. So
we are so going to overthrow the religion. This is...
And furthermore, to ensure that no one is even tempted, all bodies that the church gets their hands on are basically going for some sort of ritual.
It's me.
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
Still good, Dilly.
Still good.
So we found out that Timmy, the child follower of Kurtz that he actually had to kill, the church took his body and performed some sort of ritual that prevented it from anyone even attempting to raise from the dead.
Right.
That kind of put a dampener on our plans.
Right.
But after that, at the first of all the ceremony, we discovered this whole necromancy thing first, and then Finley, our shenanigans bard, decided that he couldn't possibly live with this, and decided to cast invisibility on himself and sneak out into the center of the execution square before the event could take place, with a completely fully baked plan to cut off all of Timmy's limbs and then just teleport him away.
It's brilliant. At the time, brilliant.
Sadly, one of the guards, pretty much the chief of the temple guard, apparently has true sight. So he was able to see through Philly's shenanigans and visibility and just tackled him to the ground. And in that time, Kurtz dealt the finishing blow, and Timmy was beheaded. After that, we all wandered back to Rin's magnificent mansion. Kurtz made a unique use of all the invisible servants and just started to destroy things, mostly servants. And meanwhile, the rest of us, Finley, Rin, and myself, at the behest of Rin, went over to see King, a legendary white stag that we had not quite hunted, but procured as sort of a mascot and for Candoria. And we fulfilled our promise as Rin used his magic to create a mate for this legendary creature.
Pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
We didn't stay for the more explicit details, but we did a good time was had. And meanwhile, Kurtz apparently went out to do his own little errand about some sort of weapon that he has had commissioned, and he was told that he needs to find one other rare component that would be even more powerful if it was blessed by a powerful cleric.
Okay.
And that's where we left off.
Yep.
So, last time, episode 9, we started off with Kurtz. He was looking to apparently get some sort of enchanted weapon, which none of the rest of the party knows about, but he was told that for the pommel, he needs a moonstone that would be more effective in combat if he had it blessed by the High Priestess. Now, luckily, he and the current High Priestess, Tavaria, are like best friends, and by that I mean he has sworn that she will die by his hand. And so, you know, we're in the clear there. After that, we were taking a long rest. We woke up to find that someone was knocking on our door, and that was Violet, a young woman who can really freaking hold her liquor and drank both Ergra and Finley under the table at a drinking competition. She presented us with a opportunity to go with her on what's called a whimsical experience and visit the waterfall fae. We couldn't really turn that down. Plus, Finley wanted to get a little action. And so we decided to go to the waterfall and partake in some mushrooms. Okay. And we were presented with a choice where we could jump down 3 different holes. One was red, one was purple, and one was blue. And we saw that hovering above each of these holes was a fairy doing the traditional hands over ears, hands over eyes, and hands over mouths. And so we're like, oh, we know this game. Come on. And so we all chose our hole. And we jumped through. And lo and behold, the one that, for instance, had their eyes covered, they could see, but they couldn't hear or speak. The ones who had their ears covered could just hear. No one chose that one. Yeah. And the ones who had their mouth covered could only talk, but had no sensory input whatsoever. So that was me and Kurt, so that was fun. And so after, luckily, Rin figured out how to use his Find Familiar to supplement most of his senses, we were able to make our way through a
mushroom forest, kind of? Yeah.
Another cave.
A mushroom forest, yeah.
A cave.
A cave.
Let's be honest, it was a cave.
That was filled with poisonous mushrooms that would damage us if we ran into it. Okay. But eventually we were able to make it through with Violet. And the prize at the end apparently was jumping through sort of a wormhole thing where time became very fluid. There, Finley and Violet had some relations. Ergra developed some perfect pitch, and more importantly, both Rin and Kurtz delved a little bit into Kurtz's backstory. Now, we have found out that he had a wife and 2 children who were both killed sometime in his past, which put him on his current path. But what was revealed is that his wife was actually a full-blooded elf, which is a rather big deal in this world, and definitely caught Rin's attention. So after that, we completed our whimsical experience.
Whimsical.
And we just came out of the waterfall with Violet in tow, and that's where we left off.
All right. Yep.
So last week, we started off in front of the waterfall, having completed the waterfall fairy's rather senseless, whimsical experience. We were with our new friend named Violet, and we found out that she was actually acquainted with someone we were interested in, a Bartholomew, who helped create a virtual reality sort of monster simulator that we had actually encountered in the first session of the campaign, where we battled an ancient red dragon. Because we knew the Horseman, the main antagonist for this campaign, was coming in a few days, we wanted to go through this virtual reality system again to try and gain more experience, to work on our teamwork, all that sort of thing. So we went to find him at the local inn of all places. Bartholomew, this bald, hairy, not very assuming presence to him. But apparently, just this amazing expert in all things monsters told us that apparently he would love to get the virtual reality system going again, but they are out of their power source. These types of crystals that can only be found in this one location.
Typical.
Location has been overrun by a clan of trolls. Some trolls that we have found out apparently have some unusual qualities by apparently licking the crystals that are coincidentally the power source we're looking for.
They're schnozberry crystals.
Right. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's like Florida.
Yeah.
So, myself, Urbra, and Finley went off to the Lyceum because we were told that they had done some research into this area and may be able to find some more information on them. So we went off to them. We found a Master Siphon who led us to another wizard who basically is going to teleport us there when we are ready. Meanwhile, Kurtz and Rin decided to go check in on a few things. Kurtz had a rather tense conversation with Caldevar, the head of the church guard. Meanwhile, Rin decided to follow up on the dead body of young Timmy, Kurtz's young scion, who we had been told after he was executed was going to go through some sort of process that would make it impossible for him to be brought back from the dead. Rin, not necessarily accepting this, decided to investigate a little further, which involved him becoming ethereal and trying to pass through the wards of the temple. And that is where we left off with him approaching some mysterious white light.